Talking about normalship versus leadership, right? So for somebody who maybe has never heard anything about this before, maybe like Ryan or Steve or Amari, have you heard about? No, you haven't heard about it. Oh, but when you guys, yes, there you go. So when you guys like just see this, what do you think? Normalship versus leadership.
Maybe like the difference between like setting boundaries, like friendships versus like setting the example. So like for example, like I know you're like in a like it's kind of like I think I don't know if it was Steven or Clay. They said like you should be respected enough to like you should be good friends enough where they'll come to you to problems, but also respected enough where they won't go ask you for like a beer or something like that.
You should be cool enough with their people to where they want to have a beer with you, but they should respect you enough to never ask.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think. I forgot. Yeah, that one did stick with me. I don't know if it was you or Steven that said it.
Both of them.
It stuck with me.
It was Mike Lay that said that actually. Yeah.
Well,
But
it stuck
I
with me.
just stole it.
Okay, it stuck.
Okay, nice. So there's one thought. Anybody else think anything differently when they hear normalship versus leadership?
Yes. Alright, so when I see that, what immediately clicks in my mind is somebody that, in normalship, somebody that kind of just like lets life happen to them and like doesn't really take any control, and then leadership, probably like anything having to do with leadership qualities. So just like taking more control, really just the opposite of normalship, not letting life happen to you. Dipping your toe in the water.
Perfect, love it. 100%. So you're both right? It's basically just like when we think about the standards that we hold ourselves to, kind of like what Steven was just talking about in the leaders meeting, right? The difference in the standards, right? Because I can come in here and I can do the bare minimum, do what's expected of me, be average, right? But that type of action is never going to get me into a management role. Right? Maybe it does, but I open an office that fails and none of my people believe in me because I'm stuck on holding myself to the expectations or standards of normalship rather than true leadership, right? That actually has an impact and positive influence on other people. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of do like a this one versus that one kind of thing. But the first one that I do want to start off with, so let's actually split this down the middle. All right, the first one is in normalship, we're doing whatever is easiest. However, in leadership, we're doing whatever it takes. Doing whatever it takes, right? So this is basically what I was just talking about, right? But the difference in this mindset, I can get home, not set in a game plan, right? Make an excuse about why I didn't do it later. And that's probably what's easiest for me, to just go home, sleep, make an excuse later. Oh, sorry, I didn't do it, right? Versus doing whatever it takes. I could be exhausted, right? I could have had an amazing day on the field, did 5 sales, right? Hired 2 people, had an amazing, amazing day. When I go home, I'm thinking, okay, I had a really great, productive day. I could go home, I can sleep, right? But I'm doing whatever it takes because I want to get to management as quickly as possible. I'm going to put in 100% effort. I'm getting my game plan done even though I'm tired. I'm reading 30 minutes even though I'm tired. I'm packing all of my stuff for the next day so I can be prepared and I can wake up, have more time in the morning, right? So just the difference in that mentality. And this definitely translates into the field, right? The difference between doing 2 sales, because that's what's required of us to hit 50, versus doing whatever it takes, going out there and pushing for another one, because what if McKenna doesn't have the best day today, and she only does 1? Now I can pick up some of like her slack in a way, right? But in a positive way to where we're working together as a team to hit 1 goal, right? So that's the first one. Another one, which is definitely huge, especially when we're brand new to leadership, is in normalship, we're overwhelmed. Okay? Overwhelmed, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening to me, kind of like what Amari was just talking about. Versus in leadership, we overcome, right? A challenge comes our way, we're not just, falling into a million pieces, panicking, not knowing what to do, trying to figuring everything out ourselves, not networking, getting in our heads, right? Allowing it to affect our people, allowing it to affect our production, right? Versus in leadership, we're finding a solution, right? Overcoming a challenge. Thinking about something as simple as like iPads in the field, right? All my iPads died, POS isn't working, I'm overwhelmed, we're gonna blow up Clay even though he's doing 1st round interviews, or call JJ to, come out to the field and replace my iPad even though he's trying to make sales, right? Versus in leadership, I'm overcoming, okay? My iPad's messed up, I'm gonna go with somebody else who's in my car ride, we're gonna buddy hop for the day, right? Or I'm just gonna simply restart the iPad, right? Try and log in again, right? Finding solutions to problems rather than just giving up and becoming overwhelmed at every little thing that comes our way, okay? Now, this next one kind of goes off of the first one. So in leadership, we're doing what is required of us. Versus in leadership, we're doing more than what is asked. What is asked? Okay, so who can give me an example of something that we do in the business, right, where we're doing only what is required versus the example of what it looks like when we're doing more than what is asked? What's an example of this?
Bernard.
Literally, Bernard.
Facts. I was gonna say, so like Normalship is like doing only what is required, so like coming in only from like 11:30 to 7:30, like not doing anything, not networking out, like just having that mental, like you walk in literally at 11:29, and then versus like Bernard's here every single morning, never misses a leaders meeting, is always like sending in ideas, like even in like for example like our Swans group chat, like he sends in ideas of like what we can do as our team to help out everyone and stuff. So always giving in ideas, sending in his game plans. He's always like one of the first to send in good morning texts, like setting that example.
Let's go, Bernard.
Love you.
Perfect. But yeah, awesome. Like that's literally a perfect example right there, right? Entry level person, they really don't have to, like, they're not being held to this high expectation, right? When we're in entry level, we can go at whatever rate that we want, right? Ask as many questions as we want. We don't have the same standards as we do in leadership, right? So the fact that Bernard, or even somebody like Adrian's here too, and he's the one. Is this your first full week?
Yeah.
Right? First full week, entry level, 2 qualifying days already knocked off, and he's here at freaking whatever time, right, for a leaders meeting. Little things like that, like these two are great examples of that. They're doing more than what is asked of them, and it's no coincidence that they're the 2 entry level people that are growing the most, right? So why is it that, and we see that, you know, we see that in when we're in an entry level position, right? People come in and they start off really hot, but the second that they get promoted, it's like things start to fall off, right? And if we've been in leadership for a little bit of time, we probably can relate to that. I know that I can for sure. But when we get to leadership, like, this is so important. I see people all the time is, you know, they'll come in for a leaders meeting, which is optional, but it's still like, you know, if you want to grow, why wouldn't you be at a leaders meeting, right? So they'll come in for a leaders meeting, and you know, they'll go out and they'll train, and they'll practice their second round showing recruiting hour, right? And we feel like, oh, that's enough because we're doing all these little tasks throughout the day. But at the end of the day, that's still pretty much what's like required, right? And if, in order for us to be making any progress at all, we have to do those little things. We're not really doing more than what's asked just by doing that, right? We feel like, oh, I come to leaders meetings, so I'm doing more than what's asked of me. Not really. Not really, right? So kind of really taking that extra effort outside of the office, right? Staying back, maybe you're staying back a little bit later to get extra feedback, extra growth, extra advice. Like Bernard, Bill, let's go Leo!
Oh shit, I wanna shut up. Pick me, choose me. I'm trying to get it.
Jared, you want to show up? Right over here? Okay, go ahead. Bernard over here.
Let's go.
Go, Leo.
Can I say something on that real quick? So I just noticed that Steven really puts the ball in your guys' court, right? That's something that a lot of owners do. Where he's talking about like the habit tracker and all that. He's like, it's optional. You don't have to do it. Just like the leaders meeting is optional. But at our office, we'd be like, so is breathing, right? Like, no one's gonna make you breathe, but you're probably not going anywhere if you don't. But it's also like, I know that at our office on the first day, people have the option to leave at 5, right? Or they can stay until 8. If you do what's required, you're staying until 5. The other guy that is doing more than what's asked, he's staying until 8. That's what I'm pouring into. That's what I'm investing my time into. Like Nicole saying, like, you're showing up for the leaders meeting. Great. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Like, it's not required. It's not a necessity, but like the owner is the first person that shows up. You're in this to fill their position, right? So doing more than what is required. Like, imagine if Steven only did what was required of his job, right? Like, just showed you how to do sales and gave you somewhere to show up and work, right? Instead, I'm just already seeing how above and beyond he goes for you guys. So doing more than what is asked, that's the difference, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's also
Oh,
the difference
yeah.
of who gets invested into.
That's true. That is very true. I
Good
love that you
point,
said
good
that.
point.
I love that you said
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because yeah, like people are always asking for this. I want a one-on-one, 30 times a week with you, blah 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 blah. But it's like, how much extra effort, are you putting into like almost earn that, right? Like time is earned, respect is earned, everything is earned. So we have to ask ourselves, like, am I doing enough? If I'm reaching out and I'm not getting, the same response that I see other people getting, why? Right? Instead of just, it's so easy to say, oh, Steven never picks up the phone. Oh, you guys are too busy, so I don't call you. Right? But there's other people that, like McKenna. She calls me, I'm answering every time. Right? Doesn't matter what time it is unless it's 12:30. Right? Because she puts in extra effort. She shows that she wants it more than a lot of people. Right? So I'm going to give her more than I'm going to give somebody else who's only doing what's required. So 100%.
You know, I call him.
She's gotta look somewhere.
Okay, so exercise, ask yourself.
Ask yourself. Examine yourself.
So this one kind of goes off of the last one that I just talked about. Sorry, there's somebody on here. I gotta keep seeing. Where am I at? Exercises. Oh, yeah. Oh. I thought you didn't tell me. So this kind of goes off the last one, and I think that this one is relevant right now because, like I mentioned before, I feel like we have unity within the office. We all support each other, but I feel like there's just in general a slight lack of gratitude, right? Gratitude for the opportunity, gratitude to be here, gratitude for Steven and Clay and JJ and Ken and everybody else who puts in a lot of effort every single day. So the difference in Normalship is we're exercising our right to be offended. Oh, Steven didn't pick up my call last night, so I'm offended, right? I'm hurt by that, and I'm gonna react emotionally to the situation and come into the office and be like, Steven, you never answer the phone, right? Versus in leadership, I'm refusing to be offended. I'm understanding that, for one, this guy's a business owner, right, who has, 7, 8 promotions under him now at this point, right, about to be expanding out into Houston. He's busy, right, he's busy. So if he doesn't pick up my call, I'm refusing to be offended in leadership, right, and I'm gonna work 10 times harder the next day because I want Steven to, really notice me, and I want Steven to be like, you know what, I'm busy right now, but I'm gonna pick up this call anyway, just to see what they're calling about, right, because this person's putting in a lot of effort, and I know that they would only be reaching out to me if it was something productive, something that's gonna, develop them in a way. Right, so just understanding this. Same thing with people in the office, right? Maybe there's somebody in the office that you're not best friends with, right? Normalship, they say something stupid, I'm offended. I got a problem with this person. I'm talking bad about them to other people. I'm cross-networking, right? Having a bad attitude when they're in the room. Leadership, I'm refusing to be offended, dude. We're business partners, right? I don't have to want to go out and hang out with somebody outside of the office. But while we're here, I'm treating them like a partner. I'm treating them with respect. I'm acting the same way when they're in the room versus when they're not in the room, right? So just having that maturity as well. And I talk about it all the time. And it's ironic that I talk about it all the time, given my age. But we're all young, right? We're all young, fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, whatever it is. That's the atmosphere of young people, gossiping and drama and fights and I don't like that person because she said this to me, blah, 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 right? But if we're ever expecting to get into a management role, run a company, right, represent a client like Verizon or like Nasty or whoever, if we can't get over something as little as talking bad about other people or getting offended over stupid stuff, it's how is your company gonna run if that's your mentality? Right? If Mel can say something to me that rubs me the wrong way, and now I don't like her for 6 months, right? How is that going to translate when I'm in a management position? Am I just going to fire everybody that looks at me the wrong way, right? How is that going to translate? And what is that going to translate to into my people, right? Our what we always say, what's the quote? Who knows it? Our people do
what we do.
They do twice. Huh? They do twice of what you're 2 times of what you do bad, or.
Oh, I know.
They do 50%, 50% of what you do good and bad, and then some percent of what you do.
Huh?
Isn't it 60% of what you do good and 40%? No, 60% of what you do bad.
You know
Yeah, your people are gonna do twice of the bad things you do and half of the good.
There you go. There you go. That's my use and owner. But yes, right? So half of what you're good at, 2 times double what you're bad at, right? So like little things like that. Like I can go to McKenna and be like, man, I'm just gonna keep picking on Mel. Like Mel, like she just like is such a bad leader, right? She's a bad leader. Like I can say that to McKenna and like she's not gonna tell anybody else. But like what is that gonna do for McKenna? Now she's gonna think it's okay. She's gonna do 2 times that. Right, she's gonna freaking be in a car ride with entry-level people and brand new leaders and speak badly about Mel because she saw me do it. Right, she's gonna do 2 times. I just said a private little comment to her, right, that she, wasn't supposed to say to anybody else. Now she's doing it in front of a car ride in front of other people, right, and it's affecting their mentality, and it just spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads. So being new leaders, like we have to really understand, like we are under a microscope. Not just Stephen and Clay and everybody else watching over us in our upline, but our downline too. So the example that we set is so, so important, and we see it happen all the time, and it should make us feel bad. Like if I see McKenna doing things that I know I suck at, I feel terrible. I'm like, this is my fault. This is 100% my fault. Whether she had these bad habits coming into the business or not, I'm taking accountability. That's on me as a leader, and I need to fix this immediately, right, so that it can be fixed within her. So be conscious of those things, because we create strong relationships with each other, with our upline and stuff when we get comfortable, but like we're still always under a microscope. So it's so important. We don't do stupid stuff like that.
Your people are gonna do half
We just said it.
We just said it. You're like,
what you do best.
Yeah, literally.
Good morning, Carla! You're so bright! Oh, let's go, Carla.
Let's go. And then, you guys, on the schedule, do we have this till 10:30 or 10:15?
we'll.
We have,
Oh, no,
we have your
That schedule is
workshop, we have
wrong.
your workshop clocking in at 10:15, and then between 10:15 and 10:30, the book club.
Oh, the book club?
But this is probably more
15,
important.
we're already 5 minutes late.
Okay. No worries at all. I'm just gonna say one last thing. Okay. Last one is. Okay. So in Normalship, we are seeking to be understood versus in leadership, we're seeking to understand. Right? So rather than me making excuses for myself, right, and just expecting Clay to understand why I was too tired to call him for a networking call, or just expecting my downline to understand why I was just too busy to do a breakdown, right? Rather than that, I'm seeking to understand, right? I'm having that student mentality, finding ways to understand the mindset behind the people that are in the position that I want to be in, rather than trying to get them to understand me. Because if I'm seeking to be understood realistically, I'm probably making excuses. I'm probably not holding myself accountable. Why do I need to be understood instead of just adapting to what I see works for other people, right? Copy, cheat, steal business. So I'm seeking to understand my upline and the people that are already successful, rather than trying to get them to just, make excuses for me, right? Or not hold me accountable when I know I'm not doing something I'm supposed to be, right? So there honestly are like a million more other ones of these in terms of the difference between the two and different concepts, right? We can always do part 2 later on. But these are some good ones that I feel like are important for our office right now, being that a lot of us are either new to leadership or going to be stepping into leadership very soon, right? And understanding the difference in the mindset, the difference in the expectations and the standards we hold ourselves to, right? Are we gonna choose to be a part of Normalship and just simply have a title? Good morning, just show Normalship and just merely have a title, right? Account manager. Or are we gonna actually step into leadership, right? And embody what a leader looks like, take action, do more than what's asked of us, do more than what's required, right? And really create that separation between other leaders within the office. All right, that's my question, that's my challenge to you guys today. Just ask yourself that in every action that you do. Is this Normalship action or leadership action? Right, but
Yeah.
that is all that I have.
Thank you! Oh my God!